The Warhorse is not released publicly yet, but we can talk about it and we can definitely look at it. That's the best thing. It's been so hard because everything in this room is all kicker, and I wanted to put it somewhere, the box, and it's like, well, where do I put it? I have nowhere else to put it. So I'm just excited we can talk about it, we can test it, and you guys are going to be getting it in your hands very soon. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gave us the okay to talk about it. Jay Lee, thank you for tuning in. I just got here. Did Andy mention when we will be able to get a Warhorse? You know, I wish I would have screenshot Bill's comment. They said June. You know, in the CE Outlook, it says June. It could be literally June, but you know how things could just swing one way or not. I hope not. What is it today? May 17th. I just know if it's Tuesday or Friday. May 17th. So I could see it. I really could, you know, because it's just they want you guys to be able to get them and order them and not have an issue of, oh, well, we don't have any more. You know, I'm sure that could still happen, but they're going to have a lot. They definitely are. I remember whenever the L7X first came out and people were like, man, like I want one, and they went and bought them, and they did still kind of like, you know, everywhere was like running out of stock, you know, and Kicker didn't have them on the website right away. Anything that's on Kicker website is really overflow of their inventory. You know, I don't know. It's just the way I look at it. And I'm sure it'll be like that too. So you're going to have to get them at your local dealer first. It could always be like that, but at least initially, local Kicker dealer, that's where you're going to find them. And I think June. I really do think June. When's the matching 4-channel coming out? I know I didn't take a screenshot of it, but I did see it somewhere on Facebook. I think they were saying like a few weeks after, a month or something like that. Like it's not that much further after that. It might even come at the same time. I don't know. I know I don't have one. If I did, I couldn't tell you either. But I think it's going to be a little bit after. And that's going to be cool. The 1000.4, 250 watts a channel for mids and highs. But that's to keep up with the bass, man. Kip says the Warhorse 1000.4 is coming. I can't wait to look at it, Kip. That's the most important thing, is just looking at it, you know. LLwA, the Warhorse 10K is still coming to my sources, basically double the power of this 3600.1. And you know, there's a story behind that with, I know Troy and a few other people that, you know, been around for a while. They've heard Kicker talk about this Warhorse pony, and there's a short little story on Facebook that not many people are going to see. It was actually on Derek Wilson's post on Facebook with his picture of the Warhorse beside the new one. And our man, Kip Litzy, that I'll get into that towards the middle of the show here. Don't want to give too much away. Got a lot to talk about, unpack. But he did mention that whenever they originally designed the Warhorse that's over here, the big guy that's over here, when they originally designed that, they also had one in the works that was smaller. You know, the 5000, the WX 5000.1. You know, you got the WX 10K, 10,000.1. That's the big one over there. So I seen he put it about it, you know, he's like, hey, maybe we're doing things backwards, you know, because they just never made that smaller one. And I'm sure there was a lot of decisions behind that, you know, of does it make sense? Do we even need it? So with LLwA dropping, you know, another one coming to his sources, it doesn't sound very far off. It really doesn't. You know, I don't like to speak for Kicker, but, you know, just putting all the pieces of the puzzle together and you just look at it, it really does make sense that they would make a bigger one down the road. And with all the power that's available nowadays and everyone that has these big battery banks, why not? Why not? Now, with the Warhorse fans, they work pretty cool. When you put it in competition mode, they turn on regardless. Like the fans are just on, and I believe they get louder if it needs, you know, produce more air if need be, if the amplifier is actually hot, but it's always trying to keep it cooler regardless. Now, not in competition mode, the fans are actually off until you hit a certain like threshold of power. That's it. I literally had it sitting on the dyno over here, and I'm playing with the gain knob, you know, and as soon as I got the 50 volts just on the multimeter, thing kicked on. Fans turned on. I'm like, what? Turn it back down, they went off. So if you're really getting on it, they're going to turn on. And also temperature too, which is very important. You know what? You know, you can have the best internal parts of any kind of technology that's electronical, but the heat's going to be the killer at the end of the day. You know, and the more you get that hot over time, parts will wear out. Warhorse price is the most surprising to me. If the price is $1,099 for the Warhorse 3600.1, it's an amazing value. Even at $1,200, it would be a bargain. And you know, that's the thing. I know some people are there, they compare it right to the Teramps. You know, okay, one, two, like it's just not the same. It's not the same breed. We can't even compare. That's apples and orangutans, not even oranges. Okay, sure, it's power, but the KXA 2400 was around the same price, and that did less power. So for them to come out with something that does more power at the same price, and even with inflation going up, you know, like that's pretty cool that they're doing that. You know, it's almost like a nod to the SPL demo guys, the 1%ers of car audio that, you know, really bring in the cheese. And they're really doing us a favor, at least on their standards, because everything that they make, you know, it is quality. It really is. Tron Magnum. How many amps does the Warhorse pull? I'll tell you. Charging system must be able to supply 400 amps of current. Does that mean that it's always going to be pulling 400 amps? No. From my understanding, most kicker amplifiers are above or around 80% efficient. Give or take. Obviously, 1 ohm load, it's going to be a little less on every amplifier, and you're really never going to see that unless you're like me, a big dummy wiring down low, vice versa. Or your electrical is not as good as it should be, and I've noticed that a lot of amplifiers, when they have lower voltage available, yes, they'll produce less power, but then they also become less efficient. I don't know why. And I'm sure it's not every amplifier, and it's how the power supply section is designed, but still. So, again, if they're saying to run 200 amp fuses, run 2 to 200 amp, 2 to 200. Yeah, just a 2 amp fuse, you'll be great. But yeah, definitely around 400 amps. And that makes sense because the burst sheet on this guy right here says, I think 4,600 watts on this one and some change. And do a little bit of efficiency loss, we'll say 80%. Vice versa, and then, you know, you get around like 380 some amps, give or take, at like 14 volts. So that's what I would guess. Catch the Livin Loud with Andy show every Tuesday and Friday, 8:30 or 10 o'clock Eastern. Smash the like and subscribe.